Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Reaction Time podcast. I am David. I'm your host. There's Eric. There's Steven. We're back. The gang is all here together. You two match, and you're adorable in your very plug-worthy gear.
Go to the funky store. Go
I
there
have
and
that.
buy stuff.
I have that exact T-shirt that Steven is wearing down in my closet. I'm not wearing it because I'm not a shill. Yes, I am. That's a lie.
I was about to say we're rewriting your contract. Then we're trying that again.
It's a total lie. I set you up for these plugs every time, no matter what I'm wearing, baby. All right, it's roster change time. We've been posting in our Discord on and off to look at the roster changes since MSI. We had some of these come through during MSI even, and it's only gotten spicier from there. So I lied about the order I'm starting in because we're gonna go straight from MSI. We talked on this podcast 2 weeks ago about whether or not Cloud9 needed to make changes and whether or not Cloud9 would make changes. I believe all three of us said that we didn't think they would and didn't think they needed to. But here we are, and they have moved Mithy to head coach, and they have benched Sven for yet another Oceanic prodigy to come through into the LCS as King finally gets to make his debut. And let me tell you, I'm hype about this because King, at his peak in the OPL in 2019, was probably the best player in the OPL at the time. I believe, if I remember right, took Direwolves to Worlds in 2019 and was the player of note on that team. And at that point was signed by Cloud9's Plan Academy and has been in C9 Academy since we talked in our offseason winter thread about how there are teams that should have and probably did try to buy him out, but C9 valued him so highly that I think there were rumors he had a seven-figure buyout. And it is a move to be made. It is a move to change things up. King is a much more aggressive player than Sven has been at any point in his career. That's a big thing to know about his playstyle based on how he's been in the past. I have not watched as much Academy as I know Eric has, but I am excited about this move and what it could do to C9 in terms of a proactivity standpoint. Eric, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think about the King for Sven swap?
So one of the big things is not to get overexcited based off of regular season for this. To me, this smacks of playoffs implications or trying to make deeper runs. Whereas like when they've hit competitive scenarios against competitive teams, where Cloud9 has struggled is in positioning and teamfight macro execution. As well as some like lane proactivity. That's never been a problem for regular season in the best of one format. So like I don't actually expect to see this play off until we get to playoffs or even into Worlds for Cloud9 as far as like what to really see. But we'll definitely see how it plays out. I was expecting Sven to be like the one player who definitely wasn't on the chopping block since he has so much coordination with Mithy and with Perks. And with Mithy and Perks getting elevated, that this is like not what I was expecting them to be doing right now. But like I do like the decision of going for more proactivity, going for players who are more aggressive, and this is also a lower impact role swap or player swap than some of the ones that we're going to get to later, which feel like very aggressive as far as like what they're trying to do on the Rift.
Steven, how do you feel about this move?
I think it's good for the beginning of the split. I think this gives Zen time to work on different champions, work on any kind of weaknesses that he is perceived to have. This is, I think, the community mindset that needs to be adjusted. Is like being benched in this kind of format is a opportunity to learn and to like craft talent. Like this is going to the hyperbolic time chamber. This is an opportunity to do something different and scrim. Like these are all the kind of things. Academy is not a place to go and end your career. This is a place to perfect your skill, get more games in, and let a younger talent come up on your team so you have opportunities. This is where I want to see the 9-man teams that Cloud9 is known for is they couldn't do anything at Worlds if they don't have some way to break through these really long stints that they had with MSI where they weren't winning, they weren't finding, they weren't adapting fast enough. You have to have more than your 5-man main roster ready to go if you want to go hard in these situations. That's the opportunity that they have here. So King has he needs to step up. He needs to showcase what his potential is. Young talent, OPL talent, let's go. Great opportunity, seize the moment. And then Sven, if he can perfect whatever he's going in here to perfect and then earn back some playoff opportunity, they can go into Worlds really, really strong with a 6-man roster that is going to dominate.
Now, a point that I want to make as far as Young goes that we need to not escape with the Oceanic players is King has been playing professionally longer than Sven has.
Interesting.
He debuted for Direwolves in August of 2014, and Sven started in Origin in 2015. So, like, King is not by any stretch young, inexperienced. He played for multiple Oceanic champion rosters, great finishing Oceanic rosters before making the move to North America in 2020. And like just to make that distinction, because like you think of Sven, he's been around the scene for forever since the debut of that first Origin roster in 2015. But you look back through the history of the OPL, King played at a high level in the OPL for 5 years before coming to North America. So he's not exactly not a veteran himself. It's just of different leagues in different places.
And that might be good to know because I think there's a shot calling opportunity that is missing in Cloud9 that we might have seen where who is the shot caller? I'm sure that's not known, but it didn't seem to be Blabber, it didn't seem to be Perks.
Well,
what was going on
Blabber
there?
and Vulcan early, and then it shifts to Perks. Is generally speaking what they've said in interview. And like that was just exacerbated by by map problems where they didn't know how to approach the game almost with this weird AP jungle meta. So in like hopefully, I don't think changing out ADCs will ever help with shot calling. ADC is the one role you do not want shot calling in the game, so we'll see how it plays out. But like this is purely going to be like do they want something different in lane? Are they looking for different positioning out of an AD carry? And I really liked your point though about like going to a bigger roster again, giving Sven time to reset, and then potentially having a 7, even 6-person roster going into Worlds. Having some flexibility in AD is actually pretty good right now. Mainly because I don't think things will change enough with the game for there to be a need to like for you to have like stylistic ADC bans on top of the OP. Like we were seeing this even in the MSI late playoffs where it's like even if teams really liked Kai'Sa or teams really liked Senna, it was really hard for these teams to ban out these AD carries in these matchups because there were enough other strong picks that had to be taken off of the table. And I don't see that shifting too much in the second half of the year. Even if we do like change the jungle meta again or something else. Jungle is too strong, and some of these other roles at a pro level I should specify. And these other roles have too much impact for you to just like hard commit to ADC bans when ADC is the go-to in first rotation of pick ban.
Can I blow your mind with one more stat for your King and Sven comparison in terms of experience? Who do you think has played more at Worlds?
Oh yeah, because Direwolves have been there quite frequently.
Do you count play-ins? Because if you count play-ins, King probably.
I'm counting.
But,
they're tied.
Yeah.
They've each been to 3 Worlds. How many MSIs have they both played at?
If you count play-ins at MSI,
they're both in 2.
Yeah.
So he's played main stage, but he's played at as many significant international tournaments in his career as Sven has. Which don't think you would know that if you weren't paying attention. But
no,
just
like
gonna
me.
make that point. Like He's been to Worlds 3 times, only play-ins and never got out, but he's been there. He's had that experience. So,
So I'm kind of
serious, actual international experience.
so kind of as an interesting segue, C9 promoting King here and making this continued investment in, OS talent as we're going into this after they lost a game to Penanet, is really interesting because a lot of the other teams in NA that bought into OS hype with the region shift actually have now immediately abandoned ship, and so it's pretty overwhelming almost where Tally, who got signed on for Golden Guardians Academy as a backup for Niles, has been dropped from both their academy and their starting roster. So he's just back in free agent status. Bobip, who got brought on for TSM Academy and did some interesting stuff and got them. Wait, I think he was TSM Academy. I forget which team Bobip was on, but he's also now back in free agent status as both of a lot of these other players from OS that were considered. Ryoma's back in academy again. They've all shifted back down in priority as these teams are trying to rebalance and reevaluate how things went from what did feel like a pretty aggressive shift for the first split this year, as they were going about shifting to have OS as a talent base and also taking advantage of LATAM. So now we're in this spot where these teams and orgs are starting to try and rebalance, and it's all right, well, how much do these players really bring to the table? Are they still worth this spot or this chance? Who is coming up through this revamped amateur circuit who we care about watching now that they've seen more screen time with? And so all these factors are actually deprioritizing some of these moves across the board, but then we do continue to see excellence and success out of people like Fudge and King. So it's just interesting to keep watching as we go forward.
Do you know the irony in terms of C9 being opposed to that general trend? If C9 were to make another roster change, it would be Isles in for Vulcan. And I feel strongly about that. And that is another Oceanic player into the main. They would have a majority Oceanic roster if they were to do that. I don't think it's likely, but Isles is a really interesting prospect. He's the actual young prospect from Oceania that they have. I think he'd only been in the OPL for a year or two before coming over, and was widely noted as one of the best young support players coming out of there. He's an asset that C9 Academy is absolutely still holding on to. And if we look at the C9 Academy side of this, wow, getting to lane with Sven might be an interesting opportunity for that player and get that kind of different level experience, even as much as I've been touting King's experience. It's I don't think C9 will do it and end up majority Osh by the end of the year, but if they were to make a change, I think that's the next change they would try out, and then they would be 3 Oceanic players out of 5.
And Cloud9 is not above grooming some players to really make some fat contracts ready to sell off to
I assume that's how King was going to end up. That seemed like the move that was going to happen this winter. Was King was going to have 2 years in C9A, and then somebody was going to bite the bullet and pay him lots of money. So I'm interested that they're choosing to put him into the main lineup now, and I wonder if there's some politics of actually, no, I need to play in the LCS if I'm going to stay.
Yeah, and I think there's value, and if he's pushing for it, or if there's some grandmaster plan to bring up more talent, grow the talent pool in North America where there's a lot of high value players that can be brought up. We're going to put you on stage for the entire summer split or half of it or whatever, and you're going to get a starting spot on a different team because of that. And I think that's a good negotiation tactic for him. And or hey, this is your spot now, Sven. You need to showcase because you're gonna have opportunity elsewhere as well. So there's a lot of other teams in North America that could use talent.
And they're not all looking to Australia to get that. Eric
Mm-mm.
mentioned one of one of the first Oceanic players to make the jump, Poor Rioma, who once again gets to go back to Academy or elsewhere because 100 Thieves bothered to sign a mid laner and they went to Europe to get Abadaga. And this move kind of felt like it came out of nowhere at the time because Schalke had been really building up over the last year and a half. It had successful years, the Miracle Run, a decent playoff spot this spring. And Abadaga's renaissance, I guess, has been a huge part of that because if we recall back to when Schalke were awful, like pre-Gilius coming in, pre the Miracle Run, Abadaga was running it down in lane. He was arguably the worst mid in the LAC and was playing really, really badly before he figured it out. But then became a central part of Schalke becoming a better team through his own growth. So I hope that the growth that he has exhibited is permanent for 100 Thieves' sake because he's a really interesting player. He's played very well recently. We saw him be bad early in his career. We saw Perks be bad early in his career, right? Like it can go multiple directions, but it's a really interesting signing, and it's not like he's coming at the end of his career, which so often the NA retirement home jokes are pretty accurate about the time in players' careers when they move over there. Abadaga has only been pro for 2 or 3 years and at the highest level. This is not end of career retirement home get paid lots of money. This is I'm coming over here arguably at the strongest point in my career, and I want to make a point of that. Eric, how do you feel about the Abadaga signing?
Well, I always like with teams featuring Someday and a strong bot lane, bringing in mid laners who can play Rise, or other roaming mid laners who have map priority and can also win lane. Like this is exactly what they need. It was why I was hyped when they brought in Huhi as a mid laner back in that earlier rotation of 100 Thieves, which didn't work out. And it's why I'm glad that they're bringing Abadage in and into this role. I think that the other big signing from 100 Thieves that happened is they've swapped coaching staffs.
Yeah, I
Now
was
they're
trying to
putting
make
in.
you only talk about Abadagi, and you're cheating.
I'm cheating. Like
Cheating.
I'm more excited, honestly, about the Reaper signing
I
for
am
this
too.
roster.
Reaper make
That's
Reaper reading
huge.
that is so good.
If there's one thing I think this roster and this team needed, it's aggressive coaching. It's like you need to bring in somebody who will be more proactive with changing player habits, with not letting Someday take the easy route out on how to approach these games, and then make them actually have like a higher degree of skill expression across the board. So it's not just who he just trying to make shit happen as this game is going on. So I think Reaper coming in is huge. Getting getting a real mid laner is also a big deal. But like I'm really excited about like just having a change in direction again from the coaching level to someone who I have more trust in. Like Zix is great and has a lot of success at NA and also to some extent internationally. But most of his time has been with like very chill rosters, I would say. Like when most of his success came with like X Smithy and Darshan. Like these are players who work better with a chill atmosphere to some extent. And Reaper is a different kind of figure to put into this. So I'm interested to see how it happens.
Steven, would you like to take this opportunity to pour one out for Tanner time?
Oh my god, man, I love
It's
Demonte
over.
so much. It's so bad. Man, you feel bad. Like I'll go watch his like origin story, whatever that they did like a year ago or whatever. It'd be real sad, but this those two moves make this team really stanky. Like this is like a really like if it clicks, it's gonna be really hard for teams to tackle it in a best of one situation. Like they can do some really really disgusting things, especially like Reaper task mastering, like real growth. Like closer, lots of potential. He has not peaked, and putting him with a mid laner that can like this is like huge for FBI to rise up. Who he like is only growing more as a support player. So like this is like I don't know a lot of talent that is unknown what that cap is, and so this is a huge upgrade in my opinion, especially when you're talking about like upper half and lower half of NA teams.
They're spicy. I'm ready for it. It's gonna be fun.
Like this is a dank like stepping into the first game. I'm gonna look it up, and I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but I want to see who they're playing first, because I think that might be a huge showcase of like, what are we gonna get? Like, how do they unlock onto the Rift?
Do we have a schedule yet?
Ooh, Cloud9. Their first game is against Cloud. Ooh,
I think that's too early. That's definitely too early. Like you can hype up that match, but like there is no way that they have had time to gel by then.
No.
Also, you're lying. Their first game on Friday is against Immortals.
Oh, so
I'm
that'll still be
looking at the academy.
but,
That's my bad.
Yeah,
sorry.
It'll
fam.
still be interesting. Immortals had no changes on their starting roster.
Yep.
Which is a potential home for Demonte when they like restructure the entire org and drop everyone again next year.
Yeah, like them, there are several teams that are sticking it out. CLG has a change listed, but it's just Broxa actually being there for the whole split, which might actually help them.
Yeah, and they got a new they promoted Breeze to jungle for Academy, so Griffin's back to free agency, who was Wiggly. So but yeah.
But yeah, they're basically unchanged from what they were by the end of the split. So I'm interested to see if they can get some cooking there. We need to talk about EG though, because EG had the most interesting minor league development process as they promote their not academy but amateur EDC directly to the LCS in Danny. Eric, what do you know about Danny? Have you been watching the amateur scene much?
So I did watch a lot of the EG Prodigies is the name of the Proving Grounds. Yeah, like and EG Prodigies was one of the teams on this that made it pretty deep into the tournament. In fact, both EG's academy and amateur team made it very deep in the tournament, to the point where it was like, Cloud9 Academy and TSM Academy were the other academy rosters that were still in it at that point, and then Zeus and NoOrg, who are so anyway, like this was like one of the best org affiliated amateur rosters that made a deep run, and they were competing with some of these rosters that had a lot of experienced talent. Like when we talk about TSM Academy, that's Haunser, Bobip, Cody's son, who you're playing against on the Rift. And when we talk about NoOrg, who ended up winning it, it's like Viper, Onda, Big, So it's like these are rosters with a lot of veteran experience who are making the deep runs. And then here's EG Prodigies with no veteran talent, with a lot of more fresh names or names from collegiate. And Shiro was like their damage star, I would say. The big thing I would call out is that with Peter Dunn taking over as like the head of like the staffing for the organization, they have like a big coaching staff at EG, and it's like he does what he does best, which is talent scout. He built that Mad Lions roster, which made the deep run and the recovery, and then gave it over to Mac for coaching. So it's like this is what he does best, is like harvest talent. And between Shiro and Shoryu, who's their other ADC that they're holding on to, EG really had the top three like prospective NA 80 carries in the league on their like tiers of the organization. So now that here's Shiro or Danny coming up to the LCS, it's because they thought he was slightly more ready or better equipped to deal with this main roster than Shoryu, who's a tier down. Shiro also plays explosive ADCs where he does the bulk of the team's damage, like Samira. So you can expect to see him do some nonsense on the Rift. He can play everything to some degree. He played a lot of different champions in that tournament, but like, what it does is it gives them another lane they can play carries through. So Impact can go back to playing Shen, and they can just rise all Chen alt bot lane, and that's what this roster is probably going to be looking to do. I can kind of already see their game plan in my head. It's It's Ignar roams after first push, ganks for GZK with Svenskeren in mid lane. They get a kill. Svenskeren invades enemy blue buff, then ganks top lane to help Impact get a reset and maybe hit level 6. Then they double TP or Rizal, Shenalt bot lane and then get like a quadra kill and then they win the game. Like they have a very clear game plan for how this should be approached on the Rift now with all of these players. It's pretty solved in some ways. So we'll see if NA evolves enough as a region to actually combat like teams that have a solid game plan, because it hasn't happened yet, but that's what they're looking to do, and they look really solid now with a few weaknesses shored up.
The other team that made changes that we need to talk about was one of the weaker teams in the league, addressing their weakest spot after where'd my tab that I was just reading go? Niles had one of the worst statistical splits in top lane in LCS history this split, and was pretty clearly not ready for the big stage. Golden Guardians went out and got a top laner with LCS experience to go play in their roster, bring Solo back into the league, formerly of FlyQuest, obviously, plenty of time in the league and an academy. Veteran player, keep Iconic in the main lineup, which I do like, to get him just with some more people, and also bring in Chime from their academy roster. Chime had been playing with Golden Guardians Academy since summer split of 2020. So just elevating a player, and they can obviously, as we talked about with C9, they can swap Chime and Newbie as they want, whenever they want, but Chime is now going to start at support for them as well. Eric, any strong feelings about this?
Chime was the best player on Golden Guardians Academy last split. Besides, Tally also looked okay, but his roster wasn't built for him to succeed.
Yep.
But Tally was their best looking player. Steven, what do you think is the champion that Chime one-tricked for a while before entering competitive?
Yeah, Wonder.
Was it Bard?
It was Bard.
It was Bard?
However, did you guess?
How could I have known? I should have been something asinine. Like, was it Tryndamere?
Yeah. But no, it's Bard, and so I don't know. Like, I think it's good giving him a shot. That change doesn't make quite as much like it doesn't seem as necessary as like the solo swap. Like the solo swap for Niles is a big deal. I like Niles. Like Niles had his shot in LCS. He saw how aggressive plays can be punished at the top level. So now he can go to academy and like try and beat people like Darshan a few times. And if he can do that, then he can come back. And like he's still hungry. So this seems like a decent idea, and it's why they had that 10-person development roster built in the first place, was so that they could do this.
Also, to defend my boy Tally just a little bit, since he did get dropped, he had been a career top laner that role swapped to mid for at least a year before role swapping back to top lane. I don't blame him necessarily for not playing his best.
I don't blame him at all. That academy roster had like really weak carry roles. So the ADC was very green and also was more of a supportive ADC in style. I'm not a fan of Rosethorn, who's their jungler. And you have a weak jungler, you have a weak side or weak opposite side of the map. So like, what are you like? How do we set you up for success? And I don't think it was there. Like their best players were top lane and support, and that's not where you want to be in like this meta or this style of League of Legends.
And
I just like it noted that Tally has played 3 roles competitively in his career, which is impressive. We've got a lot of people with 2 at this point, especially given the EU changes we're about to talk about. But 3 is a rare occurrence, and Tally has played 3 roles competitively at the highest available level to him. So good for him.
Yeah, I think solo is just like a rock. Like if you need like just someone to be dependable, like you put him in, and I just feel so bad for Niles. Like this was your opportunity. Boy, did he get wienered. Like,
but going back, he's never played an academy, right?
No,
like
he went straight from collegiate
to LCS. So getting time now to play in academy, and if Golden Guardian sticks with him, gives him a whole split this split in academy, probably keeps him for next year too, and keeps him in academy, lets him develop
Which
in
they
that setting,
should. They
which they
should.
should. It's probably going to be better for him long term.
Yes. But you
Um,
feel
and
that you were not put in a good position because he clearly wasn't ready, and he had to ride it out for quite a while before he was given an opportunity to, like, let's develop you actually, instead of just throwing you into the wolf den.
Yeah, the joke here is with Solo, you know what you're going to get. With Niles, you also knew what you were going to get, but that was the problem.
Yeah.
It is the joke I would go with. So that's all the NA changes. Obviously, some teams remaining the same, including TL, TSM, some of the stronger teams from this past split not changing a darn thing. So pressure's on C9 to show that this was worth it.
The only other thing I'd bring up is that IMT Academy watched Proving Grounds clearly and picked up Viper and Onda from No Org, who won that. So they're back in the academy scene again. So be prepared for IMT to like potentially have like swaps on the top side of the map as
Not the
far
whole
as their
team?
roster goes if things aren't going well. I don't think they'll swap the whole team unless they like fire Gyoto, and which I'm not throwing out as an option. I said it's probably a year. I give them a year, and then this whole org is gone again, and we'll see what happens. But
Echo Fox comes back, baby.
no,
No,
that's gone.
that's damn
That's-
right,
That's
probably.
gone.
Let's talk about whatever the hell is going on in EU. The in other coaches in other sports that I follow frequently, we have the coaching carousel where like a coach leaves one team and goes to another team, and that coach leaves that team, goes to another team, and then around and around and around. In EU, we have the jungler carousel, in where the junglers are rotating around, and not all the junglers are junglers. There are just more people jumping on this carousel and deciding this is going to happen. So um let's start with Fnatic and dig into that. So Fnatic, self-made leaves, heads to Vitality. We'll talk about them in a bit. Whippo moves from top to jungle, and Fnatic signs Adam from Carmine Corp, who I believe won EU Masters and were the favorites to win EU Masters. They were the best team going into it. They defended well
Convincingly.
and were extremely high quality. It's not a surprise that someone was picked up from their org. It was somewhat of a surprise that Fnatic were the ones to splash the cash, because it sounded like he had a pretty significant buyout from Carmine Corp. But Adam comes in, plays top lane, and Blippo is the new jungler. Steven, how do you feel about jungle Blippo?
I guess if you really want someone running their mouth in comms, you maybe want it to be the jungler. But I was like, initially I had big question marks. Like, I was like, what? But why? But the more I think about it is like, if you have someone that's really confident in shot calling and is really confident in picking up champions and doing something mechanical with them, I don't hate it as much as I initially did. I think Whippo is definitely like he does weird things in meta shifts, and if there's this weird like top lane like steady dependable people can go down to be junglers now, and that's okay, and we're accepting that. I guess it's Whippo if you're gonna pull a top laner into the jungle to do some cockamamie stuff, like let's do it. As much as I want to see it succeed, like no upsetness for me if it crashes and burns, because that is a very strange shift.
Eric, you're an EU Masters aficionado. Let's take this a different way. How good is Adam?
He's very good, but it's really funny. You used the phrases steady and dependable in your sentence there, and I wouldn't use those to refer to Whippo, or necessarily to Adam. So one of the big things that K Corp did in the playoff rounds that they also did in the LFL is Adam is a top lane Olaf player, and so they would flex Olaf between jungle and top lane repeatedly, and absolutely destroy people who try and play Renekton into Olaf top, and that was kind of their go-to game plan. So Adam is quite good. The the talk that's been always circulating is that teams in EU have been scrimming against K Corp and losing for quite some time, and Adam was the best player on that roster. So it's a thing. It's happened. Here he is. Um, all I have to say about this roster is if you thought Fnatic Games had a high kill count last split, get ready for Whippo Hilly chain ganking lanes. Because we're going to have some turret dives, and we're going to have some blood on the rift.
Do
and
we
it's
know?
Gonna start really early.
Do we know if it's an intentional shift, or is it like, oh, we don't have self-made anymore? Whippo.
It depends, my friend, on what gossip you believe coming out of the Fnatic camp, and whether or not self-made left of his own will, or if we was forced out.
Yeah,
because there's all kinds of rumors that most of the members of Fnatic have denied. But it's messy. That's what we know about it, is everything about this situation is a mess. And it does not seem like Self-Made left on particularly good terms with any of his former teammates. It does not seem like Fnatic had a great solution to play jungle. I don't know if Whippo wanted to do this or not. He's clearly good with it, but like...
I think they wanted to keep Whippo on the roster, and then like they signed Adam. It's so weird. You talked about the jungle carousel, which has been true for ages, and yet this time they're all dropping junglers. Like the carousel just exploded, which is fascinating because mid lane is like the opposite, where it's like now mid lane is the carousel, and it really does seem in both leagues, like in both leagues for last split, a lot of rosters made these super aggressive or like proactive roster building moves to like cut costs, primarily. But like where they went for a lot of young talent, they went unproven, they dropped veteran people for these like super aggressive younger rosters to see if they could make it work. And now the second split, they're all like, okay, we didn't need to go that far. Vaccines out in America, we can like get money in again, like go back to like being normal rosters. And so then they're trying to pivot back, but for some reason they don't have junglers anymore. And I don't know. It's really bizarre with how it's shaping up, and a part of it could just be timelines where they're trying to move super fast to recover, and not making the best immediate decisions. I expect all of these rosters to shake up throughout the course of the split almost in EU, where it's like we're seeing this happen now, and then 4 weeks in, they'll have a different starting roster.
Let's talk about the other jungler role swap in SK Gaming, as our old NA friend Treats spends one whole split playing his main support role that he spent so long playing in NA Academy, and now role swaps to jungle. So Treats is playing jungle for SK, and Jesus, for at least the second time in his career, has come off of the coaching bench to play support again.
But he didn't.
They dropped Tinks, who was their jungler, who was pretty
meh.
Well, he was meh in the split, but was like highly regarded going into the split. Like he was supposed to be one of the bigger names.
And he didn't put himself in, right? There's no way.
The SK ownership is on the record saying that Jez said they should find somebody from EU Masters to play support, and then no one else wanted to find some random support from EU Masters, so then they wanted him to play. That's what the ownership is on the record saying. Whether that is true or not is, up for discussion. But like,
if I recall correctly, this is how Jez has ended up playing support for Fnatic as well.
It is 100% how Jez has ended up playing support for Fnatic as well, where he made a Worlds appearance in a very deep run. So, like, it's not like he's bad at the game, but it does have a bit of a pattern to it.
So, how do you feel about Treats jungle?
This is such a blow. Like, it's so awkward because he was like an MVP candidate in support for SK Gaming. If they had like made a slightly deeper playoffs run, he would have been in the running. Instead, like now they're role swapping him to jungle. I mean, he was one of the supports who played Morgana in the regular season, so I guess he's in meta for a bit. This is my like conspiracy theory. My other big conspiracy theory with all of these shifts in EU is that everyone's been playing too much solo queue, and they're like, you know what champions are good in jungle right now? Morgana, Volibear,
This could
Rumble.
work.
So like we should have our top laner or our support play jungle. And so that's what they're doing, like across the board, like Whippo going to jungle, Treats going to jungle. Like, is that they're like looking for players who are good at the jungle champions, or like they don't realize it, but they're like their perception of the role is shifting about who's good at it and if people can be played at it at a professional level based off of this micro meta from MSI that's going to be completely destroyed in like 4 weeks or something.
It's
So like
gonna be fun when in 11-14 Riot buffs Nidalee, and they're like, okay, guys,
Play Nidalee now.
let's
Yeah,
see your
like-
let's see your Nidalee kiting and your good clear speed, and you're
Yeah.
not dropping your health on the Nidalee clear.
Yeah, so like it's going to be interesting because like that's like my conspiracy brain reacting to this, is that there's like this like gap in people's like understanding of the microcosm of the meta, and they're like just like keep the same players, swap them around, make it happen, and be strong now. And I don't know, it seems very scary. This roster especially, like um like Treats was their playmaker in bot lane and really helped get Jezu ahead. That was their game plan. They played Callista bot lane. Like Jezy's plays like Janna, or like, you know, swaps Janna with Reckless or whatever. And like doesn't like he comes from a very different meta from when you've had supports. He's not good at the same champions that Treats is good at. So now your game plan isn't playing through bot lane. Like I think this is going to really expose Blue, who looked terrible in the regular season. And I don't think enough has changed for him to look better now. Like Azir's still not good, sorry. And then they have and it's such a disaster for their top laner, who like really started to look good when they got to playoffs, who's now going to have a new jungler who probably is not going to be able to give him attention in top lane. And will have no winning lanes. It's pretty disastrous in some ways for like what to expect out of this roster. So I mean, I think they're bottom 3, and maybe probably bottom 2. It's so
Speaking
we'll
of
see.
bottom 2, let's talk about Excel. Eric, is it the year of the duck
No.
again?
No, and it's like this is another really baffling one because Chocolad looked like one of the upsides of this roster. It was Patrick, Chocolad, and that was it. And Young Buck. Patrick, Chocolad, and Young Buck were the good things about Excel last split, because like Young Buck is really good at giving them a game plan and then helping them like carry it out. And but like their players just aren't up to snuff. And like swapping Torre for Denick, like okay. Denick was brought in a similar role for Misfits, and that didn't work out. So I don't see why you're doing the same thing here. Like this Steel homework doesn't seem very satisfactory. And Nuke Duck over Chocolate also seems like a mistake to me. Like I guess if you're expecting mid lane to not be control mages, maybe this makes sense. But I don't see that happening. And there's not enough. There's not enough here.
I've
Like,
got a comparison for you. Ready? This
Yeah.
Excel roster is just the Gen Air roster. It's a 10th place roster whose only good player is their ADC.
Yeah,
Like that's
it's
what
true.
this looks like to me. It's a Gen Air
Yeah.
roster.
It's
Someone
very
needs-
much
Someone needs to
that
come save Patrick. Like that's my take. Patrick is good. We've seen
Yeah.
that. Someone needs to come save him from this team.
yeah. And we'll see. Like maybe they thought, I don't know. Like if your plan was to bring in Nuke Duck for like veteran leadership and in-game shot calling, like have you watched Nuke Duck for the past 8 years? Because that's not the experience. It's not what he brings. Like what he brings is if you need LeBlanc flanks, then sign Nuke Duck, you know? But like he's not a part of like your main core of how you're game strategy plays out. He's on a flank, he's in a side lane, he's building his own advantages. He's great in 4-1s where he's the one. He's not great in whatever this is. So like it seems pretty disastrous from a roster building perspective to me. So I'm wondering if Young Buck's also on the leave or something.
On the sliding scale of mid lane play styles, it takes us nicely to Vitality, who I think is the last team in EU we haven't talked about yet, who chose the other end of the sliding scale of mid lane play styles in picking up Lighter, who only plays assassins.
Lighter, who made a deep run at EU Masters yet again with a roster which he built for the org. And so, hell yeah. Vitality also picked up SLT for top lane from Big, who also made a deep EU Masters run. And they also picked up Selfmade from Fnatic. All 3 of their weakest players, who they had been holding on to for ages for no reason, are now off of this roster. This looks like a top 5 roster in EU right now, which is very scary for the middle of the pack teams, that all of a sudden this is an actual roster that you feel threatened by. It's also the self-made Crown Shot reunion tour. This is a good team.
The question with Lighter has always been, can his champion pool and his playstyle translate to the highest level of play? It's been like he played for Misfits in the league for a hot minute, right? Like that did happen.
That did happen.
Didn't get kept, wasn't that successful, went back down to EU Masters, grinded it out, and now he's back. But like it's always been the question with Lighter. Like I remember this spring, the question with EU rosters who turned over mid laners is like, where's Lighter? Lighter didn't get picked up by an LAC team again. So Vitality's given it a spin. This is not a guaranteed thing to work. Teams have thought this is not a new prospect. This is not a new signing. People know what Lighter is at this point. He's very successful and he's worked very well in EU Masters, but he has not yet proved that he can do it on the LAC stage. And that's, I think, where this could fall apart.
On the flip side, I think this is the weakest that mid lane has looked in EU ever.
Who does he have to beat? If
you want to bring in Lighter to beat up on Nuclear Int and Nuke Duck and Blue, like, great. And so it could pay off very well with just like the sudden drop in quality that we're seeing here.
Nuclear Int, I did forget to mention Schalke, promoted from Schalke's academy to sub in for Abadagi, who left for NA.
So I don't know. I'm really excited for this roster. When Lighter looked best was when his jungler looked best, and now he has Selfmade for him, who is probably looking for a roster where like people will let him do more Selfmade things. So I'm curious to see how this plays out.
That is a pretty sick mid jungle. Like, Lighter Selfmade is a pretty sick mid jungle duo.
Aggressive.
And yeah, Nuclear Int's promoted from Schalke Academy, former K-Corp player. I found it interesting that all of the LCS debut players, so SLT and Adam and Nuclear Int, all French. Fun fact, all 3 of them are French. All of them came up through the LFL, even if not directly. Nuclear Int is a former K-Corp player. Played for K-Corp in 2020 before moving to Schalke Academy. And Adam obviously came straight from K-Corp, and SLT, I want to say, came from... I looked this up just now. There we go. Came up from Game Ward, who played in the LFL as well. So, like, all 3 of these first-time debuting LCS players are from French, came up through the LFL system, which is a credit to the LFL itself as a whole, in addition to winning EU Masters with K-Corp. The talent development and the depth of the league, I think, is becoming one of the more notable things in the EU scene, is that the French league is where these players are starting to come from, and France itself is where players are starting to come from, where historically it hasn't been as much from France. It's been from Germany, from the Nordic countries, etc.
Poland.
Denmark.
Yeah.
So just an interesting thing to note, that like when I was looking through this, is like, oh, they're all French. That's something to know.
Something Immortals joke. Something.
So those are all those changes. LCK has been very, very quiet on the roster change front. They're
You didn't mention Kire is starting for
oh,
Schalke.
is he starting?
Mhm.
Yeah, and Gilius isn't starting.
But they
So
still have Gilius.
they,
So that's that dynamic I'm interested in because Gilius is going to be there, and I don't trust Kyrie to not shit the bed and get benched. So we'll see how that goes for them. I don't know how good of a choice that is. Speaking of players who have grounded out their EU Masters to get back to the league, when did Kyrie debut in the LEC?
a
It's been
while ago.
it's been years.
He's also done the rounds.
His first
At least 4.
man.
It's not 6.
Oh yeah, and he played in the LCS in 2016 for Dignitas. Like it's been 5 years since he debuted in NA and the LCS. Like he played for Gamers 2 before they were G2 for a hot minute.
Yep.
Like he's been around for a long time. So there, that is an interesting move, but one that I'm not as interested in. So I forgot it. My bad. Yeah, the LCK has been very quiet. The Invent article we're going off of has one total roster change of a sub ADC moving from one team to another. Not very interesting. I looking through the LPL roster changes, PP God moving to Billy Billy is interesting. That is an
Uh,
up for them.
Mole's moving, I think, which is like the
Yeah, to Team WE.
yeah. So Mole is going to WE, which is like a huge upgrade for them. Shanks was good at team fighting, but like was struggling in lane and against like the better mid laners. And Mole was the strong spot of V5 who was still around. So that's definitely a lane phase upgrade for them. We'll see if they keep up their like immaculate team fighting with like a new mid laner, who's primarily a Zoe one trick. So we'll see.
Yeah, the main theme of the roster changes in the LPL is all this was the split where V5 got rated for their entire talent pool because PP God is gone, Mole is gone, Wei Wei is gone, Longxing is gone. Like they only have three roles covered with players right now. Um, it's the V5 dream is very much dead. So that I don't know who they're going to play, so I think they might do very poorly. They're one of 2 LPL rosters on here that doesn't actually have a role filled right now. And coincidentally, it's 2 of the bottom 3 teams of the league because Rogue Warriors isn't a top laner right now.
Oh, is Ziv gone?
Ziv's gone.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the bottom teams appear to have actually gotten worse in the LPL, which is a problem for the stratification of the league. Because the thing with the LPL this past split is there were like 8 to 10 good teams, and then some really, really terrible teams who appear to have gotten worse.
Or fell apart completely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like because V5 was in the playoff race for a while, and now it's just all of their players are gone and have signed for better teams.
There's
Like,
no way that Riot will swing in and be like, hey, like, lessen the amount of teams. No. Okay.
there's no way. Like I think they're still going to add another team next year. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
because
they're expanding.
17 is a stupid number for a league to have. So
True.
they need to go to 18. Like,
There's a ton of money in the scene too. Like
Yeah.
the bigger thing that Riot, that like the Riot China office or Tencent have had to deal with is like really more about like breaking ownership, and that's happened a few times. And the Chinese owners are very good now at playing the shell game to make it happen. Where like the WE owner owned like 3 teams kind of for a while, and so like it's broken up more now, and so like but it is still growing, and there still is massive like attendance, viewership, cities with invested interest for having on-site stadiums, which they do in China, right? Like the LPL has days or weeks of games in different cities. Like that's a thing that
The
happens
dream.
there. So we'll see how it continues to play out. Like LGD has a hometown where even when LGD is trash, like if they play in that town, people cheer for LGD kind of like TSM chants. Like it's just a thing that happens. And so
And like obviously Royal returning with the MSI win is a fun dynamic for the LPL because there's a whole lot of still really good teams in the LPL that are going to want a piece of them on their way back. So the most interesting WE adding Mole is a big deal, and then I think JDG adding Mystic is very, very interesting because I like Loken. I have liked Loken for a very long time. Mystic might be better, and he might be a better fit on that team. So I think that's a very interesting signing for a team that has won the LPL, won a split of the LPL already once recently, and could still be really good and might employ the best top laner in the world. Like that's I am hyped to see JDG play this summer. It's going to be really fun. That's all I got about that. Ooh, I remembered the other thing that I need to talk about that is a side thing because it's time for graphic design with Steven.
I'm doing it. Oh boy,
I
what am I
love
looking
graphic
at?
design with Steven. It's one of my favorite segments of the show, and I remember to
time for
do
the
it.
FlyQuest logo. Is that what it is?
Oh no, it's an even better one. Steven does
Oh
not know
boy.
I'm doing this, and I haven't
Okay,
linked this in the
good.
thread. So this is
Okay.
going to be the initial reaction. Steven, I'd like you to analyze what you think of the new KT Rolster logo.
Oh no. Okay, I'm pulling it up. Did you link it in? Okay.
I linked it in the chat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. There's a lot of problems. So, why? It's not even balanced. It doesn't work with a type. It's not. It's really bad. This is really bad. So is it the R? Or is it the KT? What are they gonna put as the logo? There's 3 logos here. No, yeah, do it like the KT is all right. It's kind of boring for a
it's like
gaming org.
Because that's the logo of the Korea Telecom. That's like the company behind them.
That's fine. Like that
So
can be
that's what it is.
there, but the R is really
The
bad.
Rolster R
Is really
which
really bad.
that's
Like
just it's the Team Rocket logo. That's what it is.
it wishes it was the Team Rocket.
Logo.
It would have been better if they just did a straight R. That would have made a statement. But the star is kind of cool. They could have just dropped the R and done that star, and like this is really bad. Like this doesn't have flexibility. It doesn't radiate anything at all. The KT Rolster original logo was abrasive.
The roller coaster was doing a lot, but it became classic. I don't like this.
This is really really bad. This is not like if maybe it's a cultural thing, but it's really bad. So you said FlyQuest changed your logo?
Yeah, it's the leaf now.
Here, I gotcha.
Ooh. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give me the logos to look at. Because it's what I do.
Ready, go. Oh, that got super weird zoomed in. But okay.
I get it though, but this is what is?
So it looks better on the on like the league site.
Okay.
I'm just gonna link their Twitter profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why the leaf though? I get the go green. Is it a temporary logo? I feel like this is a temporary logo.
Right.
I like the dark green version more, which is what they have on Twitch. So it seems like
looks really nice.
Yeah, like this is the one they have on Twitch.
Well, and it keeps the Q, right? Which they've always had the Q as a primary part of their branding.
The Q is,
but it's like
fine.
They've been trying to drop Fly, so like this is like kind of what I've gotten from watching some of Trisha's videos, as well as like their other branding with like B Quest or C Quest or all this other. Is they're kind of dropping Fly and just rebranding to Quest. So I wouldn't.
But they're not. But they're not rebranding to Quest. They're
they're like halfway. So like if that's what you mean by like medium branding or whatever, like I
Yeah.
could see that where
This
it's like
is as bad as like the like the gold clutch stuff
the
and
gold clutch stuff. Yeah, yeah,
with the
kind of.
Texas. It's not good, guys. It's
The
really
the
not.
the deep green one like looks
It's a
nice on their
structure
background
thing.
stuff, but yeah,
Yeah, because I'm looking at their little announcement, like animation and stuff. Like it doesn't have flexibility. It doesn't read. Like the second it gets small, you're losing the interior leaf shape, and like it's not enough. Yeah, and I'm even looking at the green one, and that's the interior stem isn't tight enough when you click where you could have used the Q coming through into the leaf shape. Like you could like the concept I don't have an issue with. I like the leaf and going into the green stuff is fine, but it's just like actual execution is an issue, especially when you have to have a lot of flexibility with a logo in esports, because it's got to go on jerseys, it's got to go on your profile pictures, it's got to go on everything. It's going to be scaled down really small, and it's going to be kind of obliterated, that you're not going to get that leaf really coming through. And when you're really trying to core your brand around these like organic, natural, like save the earth kind of stuff, like do the rebrand. Then just do it. Everybody else does it. Dignitas doesn't even have.
What I'm curious about is if we've seen jerseys. Like,
It won't
I'm
fix
in,
the structural issues.
I know it won't fix the structural issues, but I'm curious because FlyQuest has done good jersey stuff before,
Yeah.
and I'm interested to see like if they're incorporating secondary designs into it, like what they're focusing on. I know they've got their like whatever their new theme for the um for the summer is, like it's not Bee Quest or whatever it is, but I'm willing to give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt as far as some of the visual design goes. But yeah, I'm interested to see what develops from this.
Yeah. Do the rebrand. That's my, if I'm giving a verdict, is like do the rebrand. Like shake off FlyQuest is like the sister team to Cloud9. Just finally renew it all. Yeah, I could dig out my Phoenix One like rebrand proposal stuff sometime. That might be like a cool talking point.
Classic.
But you can do a lot with a logo, but if you don't have the intention with the structural stuff, especially with like dynamic, like very versatile implementation, you're gonna lose your legibility. Like you have to, a logo's job is not to explain, but to identify. And when it's not identifying properly, it's not doing its job.
Makes sense. All right, we've reached the end of another delightful episode. I know y'all are playing Nexus Splits. Steven, what's your Nexus Splits secret sauce?
My Nexus Bliss secret sauce is, oh man, I really liked the Kiana game I played. There's a lot of walls, and then you can get other people to play with walls. I want a yeah, I want a Anivia, Talia, Trundle, and Jarvan Kiana game in
Okay.
Nexus Bliss. Yeah, that would be so disgusting.
Eric, what's your Nexus Splits secret sauce?
I hit the random button before the game starts.
Okay.
Other than that, I like Teemo though. Teemo Max CDR, it's good stuff.
I liked your Donger though. Donger is OP.
Now my Nexus Blitz secret sauce relates to Steven's Nexus Blitz secret sauce, because you know who else is good with a lot of walls? Poppy. Poppy's great on the Nexus Blitz map. You know what else Poppy's great for in Nexus Blitz? She just auto wins you the game when the fire ring closes. Oh no, I've ulted two of you outside of the fire ring. Now you're dead. And now we win the team fight. Poppy's great. I ban her if I'm not playing her because she's too good in the game mode. And she's one of my favorite champions, so I just get to play her, and it's great. The end. Plus, just like any of the other end of game modes, people like to play fancy flashy dashy stuff. You know who's great in the fancy flashy dashy stuff? Poppy. It's great. Play more Poppy. The end. Steven, do the plug.
Buy the merch at the Funky store. There's cool nostalgic things. You want to wear it. You want to put it on your flesh so you look good. Follow us on the social medias at Funky Games, FNKY Games. We're on them. We do stuff. We're doing lots of playthroughs right now. We're playing Pokemon. We're playing Donkey Kong. We're gonna play Sonic the Hedgehog. Lots of stuff coming through. So there's lots of things to enjoy besides all of our great League of Legends content. So give us a subscribe and like and follow us on social media so you know what kind of content is coming out so you can put your eyeballs on it.
See, now if you're really trying to lean in on all this nostalgia stuff and you're only doing the Nintendo side of things, you're doing a grave disservice to those of us who grew up with a PlayStation in the house. I might need to bring you through some Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot playthroughs to the Funky channel.
Yes, you'll have to.
Because we're abandoning my childhood in our nostalgia fest, and I can't have that. Because I did not have an N64 in my house, so we gotta fix that up.
Tragic. Well, I mean, all those are on Nintendo now, so Nintendo claims all.
Yeah. I will play them on my damn PS4. Sony for life.
So you gotta switch. What's better than playing Spyro the Dragons while you're taking a mean grump? Nothing.
Okay, if I'm actually going to answer that question, the answer is playing Katamari Damacy while you're doing that. Because that's the answer. Because, that's the best game to play on the Switch most of the time. Let's be real.
There you go.
Shout out to Katamari Damacy. Wonderful game. Play it if you haven't. Just the best. All right. We're done for a week. We've devolved into madness. We'll be back. The LCS starts this week. It starts, in 2 days. With
Friday.
Season. Friday. I haven't looked at the calendar. I don't know when the other leagues start. I'm very prepared for this part of the podcast, but watch the LCS on Friday because apparently that's all you crazy kids care about. Is shitty NA esports. What?
Damn.
Who said that?
Whoa.
Who said that?
Whoa.
At least we're good at Valorant. That's what we got.
Valorant.
At least we're good at that. We beat you in the Valorant Masters.
There we go. A trophy.
There you go.
Trophy for us.
Go Sentinels. Good job, guys. All right, we're out. We'll see you in a week or two. Peace.